Good morning, scholars. Welcome to this special edition of Morning Hop with J-Hop Remix. Today we are talking about COVID-19. I'm Nashawn Cooper.
I'm Ripley Brown.
And I'm Michelle Gutierrez.
According to Pinellas County Schools confirmed COVID-19 case information website, as of November 19, 2020, there has been one case of COVID-19 on the John Hopkins campus, but this could change.
On October 28, 2020, Principal Jones hosted 3 assemblies for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. This was to remind students of the expectations, behavior, processes, and procedures for COVID-19 while on campus. For more information about these assemblies, we turn to Gloria Privis.
It is beginning of week 9. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders had an assembly separately about school-wide expectations. John Hopkins Middle School staff talked about how important to follow the rules and stay safe. Ms. McIntosh presented corrective action team and how important to have more respect for facility and staff members during these difficult times. She also talked about range of consequences for scholar misbehavior and that we use a 3-strike policy now. First, teacher writes your name on the board. After second warning, teacher will check mark under your name. And after third warning, you will be removed and get an infraction form. But don't forget about the call home. All of the rules go into effect the week of November 2nd.
Active shooters and fire drills have a common place in American schools, and this hasn't changed in the light of COVID-19. At John Hopkins, we still have these drills, but they're done a bit different. For more information, we turn to Ripley Brown.
On September 21st, John Hopkins Middle School practiced a fire drill for the first time during COVID-19.
We are practicing evacuation for buildings 2 and 5 only. I am asking that buildings 4 and 6 that you please disregard the fire alarm.
During the drill, you have to wear a mask and listen to your teacher's directions. We asked our students how do they feel about wearing a mask outside.
Sometimes it feels uncomfortable with the mask on.
School only allowed 2 buildings to participate per drill. It also took 2 days for us to run through this drill safely. John Hopkins staff are making sure the students are practicing safely during the COVID-19 pandemic and also engaging the proper procedures on campus to make it out of the building safely during a fire drill. Students walked out of Building 5 to the courtyard. We asked Assistant Principal Ms. McIntosh what was the most important factor of the fire drill.
During these times that they still have to be careful, be cognizant of where they're positioned because COVID is still real.
Everything went as planned and students were allowed back in the building. Mission accomplished. The next day, we had an active threat drill. All buildings were participating in the drill at the same time. When you hide, you have to social distance and wear a mask.
That's a nice job. You can resume back to normal.
Report. Dancing can be very intense for the body, and there's lots of sweating and heavy breathing. This also may be the perfect breeding ground for COVID-19. John Hopkins Middle School is a magnet school with dance as one of its main programs. How is dance done safely here? According to Dreama Davidson, adjunct teacher for the dance department, their main goal is being safe during COVID-19. She says it has been a big challenge to balance safety and instruction. She says they have very strict rundown of activities for the class session and they have more mask breaks. They say they've had to come up with new conditioning to face the new reality of COVID-19. She says these adjustments can be tough on young dancers especially.
It's been a big adjustment. Being a dancer for over 25 years and then having to dance with your mask on, you have to change your endurance when you take breaks, staying hydrated and making sure that there's a balance between you being safe with a covering over your face, but it is actually very doable. Oh yeah, and it's one of those things I think if I was in middle school and this was implemented. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's a huge adjustment. And it's just going to take time and consistency getting used to it. So I make sure, Ms. Cardinal makes sure that we are an example, walking example of that. Like, we're dancing in a mask, you can dance in a mask. It is not the easiest task, but it's another challenge, and I love challenges.
Ms. Hosey has been one of the theater teachers for 22 years here at John Hopkins. She says this year has been a challenge because of COVID-19. Many of her students are not here but learning virtually, and yet some theater students are here learning face-to-face. Ms. Hosey says the show must go on. So how does she do it? We turn to Zizi.
This year, everybody's lives have changed because of the world pandemic named COVID. John Hopkins Middle School has multiple art programs. One of them is theater. Ms. Hosey, who is the teacher of theater, says it's really hard to have two classes, online and in person, at the same time.
Great challenge to keep the ones engaged, especially when you're a mover, online.
According to Ms. Hosey, with all the stuff that's going on, she's trying to teach students and just have fun. But what about people online? Some of them can't do the fun activities. It just feels different. So she talks about the difference of acting with a mask on.
But your breath is beating back in your face all the time. So this is the other thing. Because we're doing auditions for the kids online to be part of our district competition. Now, the district competition is virtual, but this is what me and my partner, because we're always thinking, we gave a note, set up a letter for Mr. Jones, and he was like, how are you going to do this? What we did was, so the kids came in the side door, right? We had a special temperature check, so we don't have to get close to them, check their temperature. We go into the audience, they can go on the stage, take their mask off, put it on the piano, perform, put their mask back on, and then they went back home.
According to CDC, during the time of COVID-19 pandemic, school lunch periods cannot be done the same way. School officials say they cannot allow school lunch periods to be super spreader events. According to CDC, schools should be number 1, promoting behaviors that reduce COVID-19 spread, number 2, maintaining healthy environments, and number 3, maintaining healthy operations. We turn to Gloria Previs for more information about how lunchtime is done here at J-Hop.
This year at John Hopkins Middle School, lunches have changed because of COVID-19. When you walk in the cafeteria, you have to wear a mask, sanitize your hands, go to your assigned seat, and stay 6 feet apart.
They have assigned seats, so we monitor where they sit. They cannot move. They have the partitions between them. It's very organized, very structured, a new way of living.
According to Pinellas County Schools, lunch schedules are altered to allow for increased room for students in the lunchroom cafeteria areas.
We're just trying to protect your child, basically. So just keep them encouraged, tell them to follow the rules, because our goal is to keep them safe. We want to go home, and we want to send them home to you safe.
The school says masks or face covering must be worn when not eating. Students say they don't like the new system because they don't want to wear masks, and they can't sit with their friends.
We allowed the kids to pick their friends that they wanted to sit with. However, it's only groups of 4, so some kids were excluded. But overall, it has been pretty easy. The kids know where they sit, and they've been pretty calm.
Also, when you check out with your lunch, you don't touch the keypad. You just spell your last name, and then you can go. After every lunch, your table is sanitizing and preparing for next lunch.
It's been awesome. It's a big change. It is a challenge. I hate wearing a mask. So I could really empathize with the scholars, and I tell them that on a regular basis.
Right.
But I want to go home, and I want them to go home. And when I say go home, I mean safe, healthy, not sick.
Absolutely.
When a person breathes, they are inhaling and exhaling particles in and out of their bodies. When a person plays an instrument, they are endangering their well-being. According to the CDC, this is how COVID-19 is generally spread from person to person. Well, how do we have a band class or even a chorus class in the light of COVID-19? This is why we sent out our reporter, Nashawn Cooper.
Here it goes. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, sol, la, ti, do.
This is Margaret Nutzel, a teacher for our chorus magnet. Let's hear how she keeps our singers safe.
It's a big challenge because we have severe limitations. So for the first 5 or 6, this would be 5 weeks, we weren't allowed to sing for greater than 10 minutes at a time. had to use masks and maintain social distancing, 6 feet, and also had to keep it at a low volume.
She says it's a big obstacle to even hear her students sing because of their masks and because of social distancing.
It's difficult to hear them when they're that far away and, I can't see what their mouths look like.
Miss Nutzel says she has to change what she's teaching and how she's teaching because of COVID-19.
Since I can't teach it well this way, I would rather teach other things and give them a solid foundation in music theory. So instead, we've been doing exercises on the board. I've been teaching them how to write music and develop their musicianship skills so that when we are allowed to start singing normally, they have a better foundation. So I feel like it might be maybe a good thing in the long run.
On the other side of the music department, we have band. This band teacher, John Littlepage, he says he does not have enough time anymore because of COVID-19.
It's basically restricted to 30 minutes at a time.
Right.
What they're looking for is to have the air circulate in between playing sessions.
Right.
Okay. Since our classes are 86 minutes long, what we can do is play for 30 minutes, take a break in the middle, and then play some more. That's the way we're going to approach it. But as long as there's that time in between to recirculate, then we're now allowed to play indoors, which is pretty awesome.
Not only does he have to deal with problems with face-to-face students, but because of COVID, he also has issues with online students.
It's pretty tricky. The simultaneous is definitely interesting because, of course, you can't have people in person and people online play at the same time because of the latency in the Bluetooth, so it doesn't line up together. So basically, everybody at home has to mute, and it's kind of just honor system that they're playing or not, right?
Mr. Littlepage states that he follows the CVC guidelines.
Yeah, so when we go out to play, we can unmask and again stay that 6 or 7 feet apart like we're supposed to. And if you see on the television, you see some of the high schools with bell covers and stuff like that. Well, that's when you get to be more advanced players, you're throwing so much air through that instrument that you are blowing it out a lot. That's why they want those bell covers. With us, aside from a couple of pretty advanced students, most of our students are not really pushing that much air yet, so as long as they're distanced, they're fine. Play.
On November 13th, 2020, the coronavirus had taken the lives of over 1 million people worldwide and 240,000 American lives since it hit the United States, according to New York Times.
According to Ms. Smith, class is too long, and sometimes students need a little fresh air, so they allow students to go outside and take off their mask for fresh air. Ms. Smith says,
I think it's really nice to be able to split class up and take a mask break so that we can all get some fresh air. I guess I could take my mask down because you are 6 feet from me and everybody around me is 6 feet away as well. So we can all, it's also nice to be able to see what everybody looks like because most of the time we're just looking at each other's eyeballs and eyebrows. So it's really nice to be able to see all my students' beautiful smiling faces, and it's nice to take a little bit of a mental break as well and get some fresh air so that we can reset and get back in the zone for class.
Mask breaks give the people opportunity to talk to their friends and breathe.
Students might think it's not important enough to cut class for, but some people have health issues.
I think it's super duper important for the students because we do need some time to, because class is 90 minutes long, and it's a long time to be wearing a little mask over your face, so you know, I think it's very important to take the break so we can all have some fresh air and, you know, get ready to get back in class.
On the topic of health issues, students with respiratory issues like asthma might have some trouble with the masks.
I do believe I have a few students who have asthma. Luckily, they have all been able to wear the mask during class appropriate like they need to. And, you know, if they're ever having any difficulties, they can let me know. And if they need to step out for a second, you know, out of the door, like, you know, almost like a nose blowing break kind of deal, except for just to breathe for a second. And until they feel a little better, come back in. But I think it's super important that we do all take the mask breaks so they can, you know, have some time so they don't have to stress or worry about wearing the mask. But it's also very important for them to wear the mask if they do have asthma because it helps keep them and everyone around them safe from corona.
There have been 53 million cases worldwide with at least 34 million people who have recovered. Here in Florida, we have had over 27,000 cases and over 16,000 deaths. Here in Pinellas County, we have had over 28,000 cases and over 849 deaths. So far on our campus at John Hopkins Middle School, we've had one confirmed case, but we have had many scares.
We have to continue to be safe so this number never changes. For the staff of John Hopkins Media, thank you for watching this special edition of the Morning Hop with J-Hop Remix. See you next time.
Bye.